months later, I'm back in the Cub. It's a much nicer day than when I flew in November, and I'm going to start from scratch and see if I can learn how to land a tail dragger, which would be helpful as I struggled to get my Cessna, or rather Dan's Cessna, on the floor yesterday at Fair Oaks. So here goes, I'll let you know how I get on. So after a very ungraceful squeeze in, I'm in and waiting for Dom to come and take me flying. Here's my view and here's what I'm going to be doing. Wish me luck. So here we go, good news and bad news. The good news is I'm about to take off. The bad news is it's really windy, really blustery, and I've got to really work my feet to keep this aircraft straight along the line. I'm also really struggling in the first few takeoffs with not pulling back, not pushing forward, doing the wrong things, getting my head around the whole control. Okay, here we go. Time to get the plane down on the ground. It's pretty windy, it's pretty turbulent. I'm being blown all over the place at the moment, but you know what? It's not too bad. I'm just keeping the power on, keeping my focus on the center line, and just thinking about when I touch down, what do I do with the rudders? It all happens very, very quickly, going from flying and transitioning into driving, basically. I don't know what the technical term is, but it moves fast. And an added complication is this runway is pretty bumpy, as you can see. A bit of a balloon there, a little bit of power, hold it, fly it. Dom's telling me to fly it, fly it, fly it. Okay, and just gently ease it back and we bounce down. Clearly this looks a lot more dramatic than it actually was in the plane. It didn't feel half as bad as that, but I was pretty focused on stopping the plane going left or right and disappearing off the side of the runway. Also, the Cub doesn't have suspension oleos like a Warrior does, so there's not really much to absorb the big bumps at White Waltham, and it comes in a bit harsher and a bit more brittle, but nonetheless safe, down and off we go again for the next approach. Okay, here I come again, getting the aircraft lined up. I feel I'm possibly a little bit too high at this point. It's quite hard to judge. The Cub sinks very quickly. You take the power off, it drops like a rock, and so you end up putting power on, power off, power on, power off. Everything with the Cub needs to be done super gentle, like a loving touch. Just touch a bit of power on, touch a bit of power off, gentle on, gentle off. But we're looking pretty good, lots of bouncing around, but no real dramas. Bring it in, power off, and then hold it, fly down the runway, hold it off, hold it off, hold it off. This is the bit I struggle with most, just looking at that picture and getting the right picture, flying the airplane flat, and then just slowly bringing it back as the power comes off to touch it down on a 3-pointer. So what did I learn in this lesson? Well, I did about 7 takeoff and landings, and I learned that each one is different. I found it quite hard to pull everything together and fly in nice and smoothly. You know, starting downwind really on the downwind calls, getting everything configured, and then I'd forget to put my flaps in. So I did 1 flapless landing, which was no drama, it was fine. But it's just the mental juggling, the dexterity, moving your feet, getting ready for the touchdown, transitioning from the stick to the pedals, keeping that power. But for me, the biggest challenge has really been getting that sight, that picture, as I come into land, and then holding it, flying it down the runway, slowly coming back with the stick and off on the power, and just getting a really neat landing. The landings look a lot better than I remember them, and I'm sure my instructor Dom had his hand on the controls a few times just to help smooth me, like here for instance. I definitely remember that one being a bit wild as the plane bucked off to the right. So I'll leave you with a few quick landings and I'll update you all with my next video where I'm going to compile some more landings, and we're going to do some slow flights, super slow landings, come and do some low landings and try out a few different things. Hopefully the weather will be a bit more forgiving, a bit less windy and a bit less turbulent, but it's great to be out there learning in tough conditions, because when it's nice it'll make it feel so much easier. Back on the ground, having flown the Cub for my second time. The last time was in November, it turned out. So I started from scratch, a little bit sweaty. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. My instructor Dom was awesome. I love flying it. It's slow but beautiful. It really is a great flight or flying experience. I messed up because I confused the carb heat with the mixture. When you pull the mixture, it basically stops the engine. As the mixture in here is the same as my carb heat in the Warrior I fly and the Cessna. Anyway, once we got over an initial almost engine failure surprise and I worked out what I was doing wrong, we flew brilliantly, had a great fun. 4 takeoff and landings. Dom assisted a little bit in my landings. Very gentle breeze here, so no dramas, and it was less scary and hard work than I thought it would be. Definitely lots of work with your feet on the pedals and feeling the balance of the plane, but all in all, awesome. Love the Cub, can't wait to do more lessons and get out there and fly on my own. Bit scary, but yes, this will help me with my landings. In fact, I'm off to Fair Oaks now to go and have a quick flight in the Cessna and practice my landings, and then I'm going in a jet prop to take one for service and pick another jet prop up and bring it back from service. I'll show you that after this.